It's the Scott and Steve Show on Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio. Scott and Steve.
Hey, good morning. Here we go. Another world-famous Scott and Steve Show. Must be Wednesday about 9 o'clock. And this is Scott, and we look to our right, and I'm not seeing Steve again today. He's out having a good time, but we got Jeremiah here today. So, Jeremiah, how you doing?
I know I'm the official fill-in.
Yeah, you're the regular, man. You're no longer the fill-in. You're a regular on this. We got to change our thing to the Scott, Steve, Jeremiah, or Scott, Jeremiah, Steve show. I don't know.
Well, right now, somebody missing 3 weeks.
And I tell you, that's a tough one there.
I know, vacation.
Yeah, he's out joyriding on his boat today, trying to finish things up, I'm sure. Now, he's probably wrapping it up, getting ready for winter. It's that time of year. You got the responsibilities to take care of. So, Steve, if you're out there listening, we hope you're having a good time. We're thinking about you, and have one for us, and we'll have a good day, man. So have fun. Good luck.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. All right. So let's get into it here. We're going to make this an abbreviated show today. There's a lot going on, and so with that, let's jump to the Browns. We might as well jump right in there. They had a tumultuous week again. Unfortunately, I owe you, right, because we bet on that game, and so I got to take care of my bet here. Is the Browns, despite
a lot more hope.
I was hopeful. I mean, Denver, come on, Denver. But I know we always play bad out west, but I was hoping they could get it done out there, and they're just not good right now. I mean, I don't know what else do you say to it? They're just not good, and it's not going to get easier. They have the Bills coming in this week. Bills are a good football team, so it's going to be a very interesting game. I mean, I think it'll be competitive, but I don't see how they beat the Bills. The Bills are feeling good about themselves, and they're a pretty good team. So it'll be interesting.
It's definitely true. Well, the funny thing is, did you see? Oh, no, you were on Facebook, but, right after that game, it was that,
Whiteheads.
All the media, about panic, all that. It did, because I wasn't even thinking it, but someone beat me to the comment of, I'm going to go watch the Cavs. It's less talent, but more passion.
Ooh, that's tough. That is
it's
tough.
True.
Well, the funny thing is that in last year and years before, you can win. There was no expectations. You know what I mean? So the fan base was, I don't want to say tolerant or accepting, but they weren't bothered by as many losses and stuff and not getting it done because it was expected. After they had a little flash at the end of last year, and now, the trades that they made, the acquisitions, everyone came in thinking they're going to be, God, there was even Super Bowl talk, you know what I mean? And so
it still is, actually, people out there.
People are crazy.
And they're making the playoffs, and unless they win every single game starting this Sunday
Don't see it happening. I mean, I'd love for them to go on a run, but I don't see them going on that kind of run. I think they'll be on the outside looking in. I have
a better chance of winning the lottery than seeing that happen.
Yeah, you better play your numbers tonight then, because we'll see what happens. But yeah, so they're not handling it well either. I mean, there's a season of expectations, and they're not handling it, and that starts with the leadership there, and obviously people are now calling for John Dorsey's head. Of course, Kitchens they'd like gone. I hate to say that Kitchens will be gone at the end of this year, but I don't know how he won't be at this point.
The fan base.
It's looking like writing's on the wall, and
it's at least, I want to say, 40% out there, if not more.
Right. And with the talk of Dorsey going, I think getting rid of Dorsey would be a mistake. And I don't know if getting rid of Kitchens is the right thing or not. But if they're going to keep him, they need to do something to give him the support and that he needs to be successful. I mean, he has not been a head coach before, and so handling the ins and outs, the pressures, the preparation, obviously it's lacking. I mean, the team is undisciplined with penalty after penalty, so so there's a lack there. And so again, that comes back down to the coach setting the stage. This is how it's going to be, and
but here and there's some of the silly things. Let's say, offensive holding.
Yep.
Nothing's changed from high school, and that. When it comes to, penalties like that, little coaching, but, too, it's also on the players of holding's holding. You knew this back in high school. You knew this back in college.
True. I would agree with that. That hasn't changed. But on the same aspect, good teams figure out how not to do that on a consistent basis. And it's kind of like tackling. Tackling hasn't changed since they played Pee Wee football. You know, you wrap up, you bury your shoulder, and you go. However, they're a poor tackling team, arm tackling stuff. Teams that do it well practice it. They get after it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying they have to have pads practice every day of every week or anything like that, but I mean it's a focus at some organizations. Our focus in the off season, we talked about it here on the air. Our focus during the off season was making sure everyone's healthy for game one. We're not going to even practice or play much, you know, throughout the preseason. And, you know, we weren't prepared and are not prepared, you know, and that hasn't changed. And so I think that comes back to how you run your house, what you make a priority, and what you do about it. And I don't know if it's changed.
I really think one thing, they should make players that have their massive screw-ups run.
There's got to be something.
You learned after that.
Yeah, there's got to be something. You know,
We're doing those 100-yard runs and that.
Gassers.
Yeah.
The gassers. Yeah. There's some, for sure. Something.
Or ladders.
Right.
10 yards back all the way out to the other end.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Something's got to happen, and I don't portray or proclaim to know the answer to it. I mean, I'm not at that level. You know what I mean? But clearly, neither is he, or neither is the team, at least right now.
Well, regardless, any player,
right?
Whether high school on up, if you're seeing there, you're doing that, 10 yards back, going out and that. When you go through that, you learn one thing. I hate this for the
Don't want to do it
God.
again. That's right. So you might make a change in your play to not have to do it again. Is that,
yeah.
So it's funny how that works. Some things just don't change. For the Browns, though, it goes beyond that. I mean, let's look at the stuff with his shoes with OBJ and Jarvis Landry, having to be told to either change your shoes or you will not play from the NFL. Again, those are rules that aren't made up week by week. It's stuff that's been there. It's in the contract. It's not a question. And from my eyes, it's just leads to or shows lack of respect, lack of focus, not an emphasis on what's important. Instead, they want it to be about them or me by, getting attention drawn by my shoes, likewise, and then so what they do, they tape their shoes up at halftime to comply. The fact that they're having to deal with that as an NFL player, I mean, I at some point you got to say, what in God's name? Come on, guys, just get over it. We shouldn't have that kind of stuff. We're not very good right now, right? So let's toe the line. Let's get back to it, and that comes back to from my end, the discipline aspect of the team. It's beyond just play. It's everything, and that's got to come from both the players and the coaching staff.
Well, they're not the first, though. You go to the kneeling thing. You go run down the list over the past many years, and that.
And you got one thing.
That's a really minor drop in the bucket.
Right, but I think it's symptomatic. I mean, this isn't the first thing that they've had discipline on this year, discipline issues, and I just think it's another, by itself, not a big deal. But you're not winning, all right? You're getting defensive in your interviews after games. That's been going on for a few weeks. You're struggling to be competitive, and so that is. I just don't understand it. You got to be more disciplined. You've got to be able to come out and be supportive of the team and have a focus of team first instead of individuality to be successful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And again, taken by itself, I agree, not a big issue, but it's another thing, just another thing that just keeps going and going and going, and there's no need for it. There's absolutely no need for it. I mean, earlier in the year, what was it? The glove stuff, or they had to have their own little the helmet thing, the face mask stuff going on. That was Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
but I mean,
that was more.
Yeah, but just that stuff going on. Guess what? All those things have in common. Teams that are dealing with that, they typically aren't successful teams. And it has no impact because I think Jarvis Landry is a tremendous player. I mean, he's a very good player, and so is OBJ. I know he hasn't had the stats this year that he's hoping for, but he's still a good player. I mean, in my mind, they're both very good players, but on the same aspect, we got to get to the team, and I don't think that they're very team oriented right now, and it's tough to win that way, and they're not, and it's not like they're losing nail biters. You know what I mean? It's
No,
they're not
getting blown.
Yeah, and there's too much talent on that team to at least not be competitive, in my eyes. And so if that's the case, then there's usually something else going on. That's where, okay, where does it come in? And again, in my eyes, it starts with a coach, but you're right, the players have got to carry their weight too.
It's sort of go because I ended up a past DJ a few years back. He posted up a thing, and you have everyone rebuttaling that. Well, we need to fire Kitchens. We need this. We need to draft a QB. All that shenanigan.
Right.
Stuff we've been hearing since 1999.
Right.
Then I go and sort of put this of, capping a head coach after a year and a half, or 2 years. That's worked really well for us since 99.
Never successful.
Then, about drafting a QB, we need to bench him, blah, blah. Which, if the season still continues like how it is, I wouldn't be, let's say, offended in that eventually if they do bench him. Like,
he's not playing well.
3 games left of the season,
Right.
because the backup, him coming over from a different football league, it's not like, he sort of played preseason, but that's different than actual regular season.
For sure.
I wouldn't be all against of benching him the last 3 games. Guy's 28. Drew's not going to be there for forever.
Right.
Letting him have a chance of, is he going to be the number 2?
Right.
Do we have to go find the number 2 still?
Right. Well, and that's it. And with Mayfield himself, I mean, I am also a believer that he can be a very good quarterback in the NFL. I think he will be a good quarterback. Hopefully he'll be a good quarterback. But right now, he's not playing well. And I'm sure there's a lot of factors to that, but I mean, he's not accurate, and that's one of his hallmarks. But his accuracy is all over the place. So I don't know why. I'm not a quarterback guru how to fix it, but on the same aspect, if you can't hit your target, I don't see how you can play. I mean, it's flat out. It's not like now early in the season they drop some, right? Whether it be timing, but then if it's timing, what does that tell you? That means they haven't had the reps to practice it to get it to where it needs to be. If they're having troubles where he's thinking the receivers should be running out, they're running in and they're screwing up, or he's overthrown a gazillion receivers this year. So so with that, what is going on that's happening? I mean, he didn't suddenly become shorter. You know what I mean? They're saying, the lines. No, I mean that's not new. So what's going on that he doesn't have his accuracy, and that's, to me,
I noticed
that goes back to coaching.
In between of either not setting himself.
He does seem to have happy feet. Of course, he's been running for his life, but his feet have definitely been all over the place. For sure. Yep.
It's many factors, but then 2, he just doesn't have fire.
Well, and that's
he really doesn't.
And where does
have
that come
fire.
from? And where that's got to come from within.
Yeah.
But on the same aspect, if it's not coming from within, what is the environment? Is the environment encouraging or supporting or creating an atmosphere that has that happen? I mean, it's pretty negative there right now. I mean, it's got to be.
In a way, but then too, in a way, I think he had the chip on his shoulder. People didn't think he was going to be that person.
True. Now he's in every commercial.
Is he sort of,
he's gone too far
saying,
away.
"Hey, I proved it this year."
Right. Well, it could be. That very well could be. I would hope that not be the case, but certainly he wouldn't be the first person to hit it big and be successful and get a little soft as a result. Start to enjoy the comforts. That he wouldn't. That's not the first person to happen to. Now, how do you respond to that? I mean, in my eyes, I would hope that he, after this season, that he is embarrassed, ticked off, and coming back with a vengeance, and perhaps that'll be the fire, the whatever he needs to turn it around for next season. And then with that, hopefully learn a lesson that you can't be that way. You've got to stay, you got to have that buyer. I mean, it's not easy. You know what I mean? No. It's not easy, but that's something certainly they need to do from an aspect. But I think
the one thing too, I sort of threw out in a way in that post, that besides that, lack of leadership amongst the captains.
Sure.
For sure.
It's all the way across. You're right.
Veterans, you run down the list.
Yeah, exactly. And they're a young team. The Browns are a young team. But to that point, what veterans they do have, is there enough leadership there, And it's okay to say Mayfield's going to be my leader, but he's finished up one full season now with the number of games he's played. That's it's not easy, and it's the rare.
Miles, it's this third year.
I think it's his third year, right?
And that he's on that, but he doesn't seem like. Here and there behind closed doors of sorta and that, but he doesn't seem like the one that'll be in your face.
Yeah, I'm not. It doesn't appear that way, But who knows? You know what I mean? But yeah, to your point, someone's got to take charge. Someone's got to lead this group. Someone's got to be able to have people follow them. You know what I mean? Just going out and shouting and screaming and stuff like that doesn't get anything done. You know what I mean? You got to do it. Unfortunately, from my end, I think it's too late to save this season. However, I do think that by implementing some changes, consequences, discipline, something, by making a change there, you can start to crack the mode to set the table for next season. Because that's really, in my eyes, you don't want to finish the season this year.
The train wreck that it is.
Yeah, you just don't want to without at least saying, all right, we're going to make a change. Here's where we're going. I don't know that Kitchens has the wherewithal, though, to make those changes, to make it happen, or else it may have already started. And that's where I was going back to earlier, because I agree. I don't know that firing and constant turnover is the answer, but you can't keep status quo either. So if he needs help on how to do that, you bring in a veteran coach who's been there, done that. He's his special advisor or whatever, and that's not something as a head coach you can be embarrassed about or whatever. It's the fact of the matter is if you don't take it on, you're probably gone. At some point, you got to produce, So it's going to be, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But again, carrying on discipline, and this is what also leads to believe how they're thinking. Look at Whitehead's response.
That's what I was going to say. What did you think of that?
Yeah, the Browns let him go, rightfully so. He clearly lost his mind on his responses. Challenging people, saying he's going to kill people. Social media, We've had this conversation forever.
Well, the funny thing is he's not going to apologize on his Instagram about that.
Right.
Then, yeah. Joke on him now. Now he's out there on the picket or on that line now.
Yeah, and guess what came out? A nice apology saying it's out of character for me to be this way.
Oh, I didn't realize he did that.
Yeah, he did that. I think it was either last night or this morning. But the interesting thing about it is the Browns picked him up, I think, from Green Bay, I think. And guess what? He was
mid-season something.
Yeah, he was let go at Green Bay for slapping someone in the face or face mask or something. For again, so this is not, in my eyes, not out of character. Now he may have kept it under wraps for a little bit, but on the same aspect, I think that's again symptomatic of where they're at. He lost it, and I'm sure he's not the only one feeling that kind of pressure, feeling that those feelings. He just didn't handle it well at all, and that cost him his job,
going in, what Dustin Fox sort of said, calling out about tackling and turning into that.
Right.
Then, about my wrist and that. So how much are you getting paid?
Well, and
if it's taped up and that, and you're out there in uniform and that, yeah, it might bother you a little, but boo-hoo, cry me a river.
If you can't play,
then sit on the sideline.
Then you're out that week. You bring in somebody else that can make the play. There's a 53-man roster and a practice squad. Someone's got to be able to do something, and if not, then that does fall back on Dorsey, because that means, hey, there's no depth. Well, who brought these guys in? Where that's at, And again, Browns have been they've been god-awful for years. Last year they had a little flash at the end. To expect the entire corner to be turned essentially in half a season for the last 15 years, that's a little unrealistic too. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's going to take time, and so I don't think just cutting everybody loose and saying, we're done. I don't think that's the answer. I really don't. But certainly some help is needed. And hopefully they're smart enough to figure out an answer. I know they are, but hopefully they actually take action and figure out the best way to move forward. I mean, everyone in Cleveland at least wants them to do well, and they've got the support of the city. So, but they've got to you got to perform. I mean, because the city's already turning. You know what I mean, or has turned. I mean, depending on where you're at, and it won't be long.
It's true.
You have another season like this next year. If it starts off poorly again next year, they'll both will be gone. If they're not already, they'll both be
by week 8.
Yeah, the drums will be banging and they'll be out. And then
that's the sad thing is the fans dictate decisions. People don't want to agree with it.
Sure,
it's true.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, the fans they buy tickets, they buy souvenirs, they buy beer, they buy whatever, and what?
I wonder now with going this coming season, will the prices be at the same prices they are this year now?
I would be
Probably
shocked
not.
if they lowered them. You think they're going to lower them?
They would have to.
Ooh, that would be
with
interesting.
how much of a PR nightmare and all that they got going
right.
on. They can't keep it at the same price.
It's going to be interesting. That will be interesting. I'll be curious how they. If I had this bet, I would say that they would not lower them. I would say they wouldn't raise them, but I don't see them lowering, unless they, of course, don't have anybody at their last few games again, and they aren't able to get anything. Then I could see them maybe restructuring some, keeping the prime games at a certain price, maybe a little higher.
Well, they'll be lucky if they have prime games next year.
I should say prime opponents, I guess is what I should say, which they already do. You know what I mean? The tickets are differently priced for different games. But, yeah, it's I don't know. It's just a struggle, and I feel bad for them. But, we'll see what happens. They're moving on. They got the Bills this week. I will pick the Bills this week. Go Buffalo, so I don't know.
Be honest, I can't go the opposite way.
You're thinking they'll win this week?
No, I really don't.
Okay, all right. I was just saying.
It's that 60-40 thing. 60 towards, the Bills.
Yeah, the Bills are a good team, and you know what? They're not a great team. I mean, Josh Allen, right? We talked about him when he got drafted. I was one of the people who liked Josh Allen. It was like, you know what? He's not great, but he'll get it. He's played up in the snow country, was Dakotas or wherever he played, and he fits Buffalo. Just hard nosed, garbage pail, lunch pail type player. He fits. He did
great for my fantasy team.
Okay, all right.
Especially with Mahomes out and that with his thing. Yeah. Ryan's on bye with what happened to him.
Right.
That was my one pickup. He did pretty good this past week.
That's it. And against the Browns defense, I think I gotta expect him to have another decent week. I think that he'll be okay. The Bills are pretty good. Again, not great. But they're solid, you know what I mean? They're
at least average.
Yeah,
and occasionally
they're solid,
they hit
consistent.
a little over.
Right.
They're not very good.
I would agree. But they're going to get it done. And you know what? Against the Browns, that's all it takes right now. But I would not be shocked if the Browns suddenly had one of those games where they put it together and just did it. I mean, they're capable. I think that's the frustrating part. Clearly, in my eyes, capable.
Especially with what they did to Baltimore at their home field.
Right, clearly capable, but taking that step to consistency, and sometimes that's a maturity thing. The thing, and we talked about the roster being young. I mean, maybe that's part of it. But changes are coming. They got to be coming, and I suspect they will be. So. What else are we talking about in the sports world? Anything else from your end you want to hit into?
It depends. Should we go college?
What do you want to chat with college there? About the about all the betting or the likeness stuff still, or what do you want to get into?
I don't know.
Ohio State, who they play? Rutgers this week? Is that who they got?
No, Maryland.
Oh, Maryland, then Rutgers.
Yeah.
I think they'll get 2 more wins. I don't know. We're in week what for them? 7, 8, something like that. They've yet to play a game. So I don't know.
Well, it depends. Wisconsin-ish.
As come on, we know that Wisconsin is you got your if they're below the 50% mark in terms of overall teams that are really good. I mean, they're right in that range, maybe at 50%. But in my eyes, they've yet to play a game yet. But they'll be all right. I mean,
well, to be honest, that game's going to be coming really in 3-4 weeks.
Right. They got back-to-back Penn State, Michigan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really their whole season. That's really their whole season.
I know. I had to go talk to someone about a bet this year.
Well, he's got a show, first of all, unless you got to hunt him down, so yeah.
Yeah, I think I know where he lives.
Yeah. But he's got a show.
He has to show up to work.
He's not here today?
Well, not today, but
no,
yeah.
I know. But yeah, so I don't, Ohio State, though, I don't know. It's kind of whatever. They'll win, just because. My friends at Virginia Tech took one on the chin. Notre Dame scored late, gave them the 1-point victory at Notre Dame. The interesting thing is that so Notre Dame gets that win and they move up in the standings, and Tech's not ranked. You know what I mean? It's and not that I'm not advocating for them to be ranked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they deserve to. It's just weird how the rankings work sometimes.
No, I get it.
It's so they want to put in my eyes they want to put Notre Dame in a position where they could qualify for a bowl or at least get to the end so it could be controversial so people will be talking about it, and I think that's one of the reasons why the Big Ten had so many teams ranked in the top 10. They want to have someone around from the Big Ten that could slide into the Final Four, So the challenge I would say for Ohio State is play anybody that could give them a game, but it does take two to tango, they could be trying to play Alabama. They could try to be playing, Auburn or what have you. Go on the road and play somebody. Can you imagine?
Well, not including with people anymore in college saying their, schedules out at least 2+ years out.
Yeah, it's even farther than that. But yeah, those things can be broken. They can be changed. But I would love to see. Go to Georgia and play in Georgia, then go to Ohio State. It's not a one-way street here. But do those types of things. You don't need to play the Little Sisters of the Poor week in and week out. Obviously you have to play the Big Ten conference schedule, which is not very good. All right, so you play that, but with your non-leaguers, pick it up, pick somebody up. And heaven forbid if you actually ever have to travel. It's just I don't get it, but I get it. I understand it's money, but it's it drives me crazy and it's not just Ohio State. It's all the big teams. That's where it's at. So we'll see what happens. I
didn't realize they moved up to 1 in the college football rankings.
Who's that?
Ohio State.
Yeah. Well, they had a big win last week again against nobody, and. LSU's right up there.
Because Bama and LSU play this week,
yeah. That should be a good game. That'll be a good game this week. And
I think that's really the only reason they moved up to 1 is because somebody's got to lose out of that game.
It could be, and that'll be the interesting thing.
I think they'll bounce probably a touchdown depending of that.
Who does Penn State have this week? Because Penn State's 5, right?
4.
Oh, they're 4? Okay.
And at the EP, they're 5.
Okay. So what's the other poll have? Where does it have Clemson at?
4 on the EP, Clemson 5 on the playoff.
All right, so that's the rub right there. And Clemson hasn't looked great this year, but they run the table. I don't see them not getting in. How can you not get in if you run the table?
Especially like let's say with Penn State, they lose, they're going to bounce out of the ranking.
Well, and that's going to be the interesting thing. So LSU and Alabama, if they play, obviously someone's going to win. If somebody wins by 3 points or less, are either one of them going to drop? I bet you they don't.
Maybe not in the playoff ranking, but definitely in the AP, they're going to take a hit. Probably at least 2.
Oh, I don't know, because then you're going to have Ohio State and Penn State play, and it's at is that at Ohio State this year? I believe it's at Ohio State. I'm not 100% sure on that. But as he's checking, either way, if that becomes a close game, what happens there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's at home.
Yeah, so if Ohio State wins that game by 3, does Penn State drop from 4 or 5? I don't see that happening. You know what I mean? You lose to a number 1 by 3 points on the road, you're not going to drop. You know, and that's what I'm saying. That's the kind of stuff that it's just it's so set up. It drives me crazy. We need to either expand it or get rid of it. We're not. All we're doing is creating more, just no real answers and fake awards, trophies, whatever. It's never really solved my issue. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So,
yeah.
Anything else exciting? World Series champs, Washington won. All right, did we talk after that? I can't remember if we talked since then. So
I know I owe you on that one.
Yeah, so Washington won. They got it done. So that was well played by them. You know, they're hot, man. They just got hot. They had the pitching matchup, as we talked about. The pitching matchup worked out. Strasburg going, into the 9th inning and Game 6 just set them up for Game 7. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it shakes out here. I mean, a lot of Garrett Cole's a free agent, Rendon's a free agent, Strasburg's a free agent. It's going to be interesting to see where some of these players go, how much money they're going to be offered. I know J.D. Martinez opted to stay in Boston. To me, that signals that Mookie Betts is probably out. They're going to have to trade him, would be my guess, unless they package people, because Martinez is not set. But if you package, you might say, okay, how about this? You take Martinez or Betts, not sure which one, and Bogarts for a stud pitcher or two, and then Boston goes out and signs Lindor. When you think about that, because Lindor's on his way as well. He could be traded and be out too. It's going to be interesting.
That's the back and forth thing.
Yep.
Because I have a feeling Dolans will sort of let that.
Oh, he's going to go. I mean, well, and to their defense, if he's saying, I'm going to test free agency, and I have not heard him say that,
No.
But if he does come out and say that like Mookie Betts has, how can you not look to trade him? I mean, you have to in good conscience, because otherwise you're going to get absolutely nothing for him, because you're going to get outbid. So you're going to get nothing for him, and that's what's going on with Boston and Betts. Boston's trying to cut payroll. They know they're not going to outbid teams out there for Mookie Betts. So if he's going to go after the money, which is his right, but don't expect not to get traded, because as a Red Sox organization, you can't take nothing for him. You can't just lose out just because. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason. I'll be curious to see how that all plays out. But yeah, there's going to be some interesting plays coming up here.
That's true.
Yeah. Lakers soccer, men and women's soccer, they both lost in the regional finals this weekend. So a game away from the district play for the Nationals. They both lost in the regional finals by identical scores, 3-1. They both lost to Muskegon Community College, so that was kind of a tough one for them. The men came back on Saturday and won a 1-0 double overtime game against Jackson again at Muskegon. So it was a thrilling game. So outstanding job. Both teams did a great job this year. Women's in their second year as a program, so making it to the regional finals in your second year, that's outstanding. Congratulations to the team and Coach Steve Civic. Amir Katani, the first-year coach for our men's team, bringing them to the finals, brought a lot of kids in, did an outstanding job. So congratulations to both of them. Basketball's kicked off. They both played at Mercyhurst yesterday in the Northeast. The men lost by 5 yesterday. They had a 14-point lead with less than 14 to go, and they wound up losing by 5. They just, down the stretch, didn't get it done. So, new season, young season. So hopefully they turn around and get it going. The women, on the other hand, they kind of cruised through Mercyhurst Northeast. So we'll see. TJ Memorial Tournaments this weekend. Yeah. The tournament kicks off with Columbus State playing Erie Community College. The women's game is at noon on Friday. The men of those two schools plays at 2 on Friday. Lakeland women against Delta Community College at 4 o'clock on Friday. And then the men will play at 6 o'clock again against Delta. Consolation games on Saturday are 9 and 11 for the women's and the men. And then, again, the championship game, women's and men, will be at 1 and 3. So it's free. Basketball weekend, Friday, Saturday. You're looking for something to do, come out. Come check out your Lakers and the organization as a whole. We look to see you down there. So it'll be a lot of fun. So you going to work it this weekend at all?
Yeah, Saturday I got to be up here.
All right, Saturday. So hopefully we'll see you
But
Saturday.
I got to be over there.
No good. I was going to offer to find you a world famous Irish hot dog if you were to come by. So if you have a few minutes,
Possibly
swing by.
Friday.
So swing by. We'll see what we can do to hook you up there. But it's all good. So come check them out, and we'll go. We're gonna cut this one short if we can. We're calling for snow, so we want to get out there and make sure we get our lawns prepped for the snow and go from there.
Well, now I'm pulling the shovels out of the
thing. It's too
And the
early.
salt.
Too early. All right, I'll brag for a second. I went to Stevenson University this past weekend and watched my daughter's hockey team. As I think I shared with you earlier. New coach this year. We weren't sure how it's going to go. Not necessarily the deepest team in the world with a recruiting aspect. However, Friday night they played UMass Boston and tied them 0-0. So that was a pretty exciting game. I like defense, so it's an exciting game for you. My daughter got moved back to defense this year too, so she's back to where she loves to play, and it's a lot of fun to watch her hit people and just nag. She just loves it.
Defense is more fun.
She loves it. I love watching it. That's how she grew up, so it was a lot of fun. And then on Saturday, they won 3-0 against New England College. So yeah, off to a good start, better start than anticipated. So it's great. This weekend they play at Newman College in Philly on Saturday, and then Manhattanville College in New York on Sunday. So that's going to be a heck of a road trip for them. So we wish them luck and go from there. And I'm going to try and check them out the following weekend. So we'll see. They'll be back in Maryland. So I'll see if I can't catch that. But it's all good. It's all good. So anyway, that's what's going on with my sports and with Lakeland and Pro in general. So.
Well, an interesting thing, the Icebreakers in here at 11.
Icebreakers, 11 o'clock, men are ice hockey. That's right. We have the coach and a couple players coming in. They're getting interviewed at 11 o'clock, so make sure you stay tuned for that. The Breakers, they play a lot of weekend series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday type gig on the road and at home. Then they play at the Menor Civic Arena. Go check them out. It's hockey is a great game, one of the fastest game in the world, and the Icebreakers should be a very exciting team to watch. So
you sort of notice with
out.
their schedule that the rest of this year that they have the few home, but it's more away.
Right.
It's more like after New Year's or more home.
Yep, that's the way it worked out for them this year. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. Go check them out. It's a good time. Menor Ice Arena is a really nice arena if you've never been there. They got 2 sheets of ice. They got the east and the west. They're on the west side. So go check them out. Menor Icebreakers. We want to wish them luck today and listen to what they've got to say this afternoon. Hopefully you'll have an opportunity to go see them play. So
yeah. Any world famous bet this week?
Who do you want to get into? What game you want to hit? Do you want to hit LSU and Alabama?
Can.
Where's it at?
Do that, I would have to do this. That's the one bad thing with rankings. It's what?
I picked the Bills over the Browns.
So at LSU.
I don't think Alabama has really been tested yet this year either. And I know they're very, very good. I'll take Alabama. Alabama on the road.
No, I'll go LSU.
LSU. I mean,
I have a good feeling with them.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If LSU wins, it wouldn't shock me at all. I do think it'll be a good game. But I'll take Alabama just because I'll take them and go from there. We'll see. But I'm good with it either way. If you told me you wanted Alabama, I'd say, okay, I'll take LSU. It really doesn't matter to me. I think it'll be that close.
I think it's going to come down like field goal difference.
I would agree. All right, so you got LSU, I got Alabama, and we owe each other from last week, right?
Yeah.
World Series and then the darn Brownies. So we can either go take care of that or call even, whichever you want to do. We'll go from there.
Whatever you want to do with that.
All right, man. Well, let's hit it. Let's wrap it up today. We want to thank everyone for listening, and go Lakers.